what are the needs of someone who has BPD and how do we have productive conversations with them. The challenges of BPD are really high emotionality traits, which are really expressive, over-the-top accusations, explosions, aggressive behaviors, but then also really low lows, which can look like depression and senses of self-hatred. While talking with somebody who has BPD can be really challenging, I'll be going over BPD expert and psychiatrist Dr. Jerold Kreisman's book, I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, Understanding Borderline Personality Disorder. If you're new to the channel, my name is Marcus. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, I start graduate school in the winter, and then I also have worked with at-risk youth, some of which who have had BPD for a number of years now. In his book, Kreisman discusses what he calls a setup framework, which helps have productive conversations with someone who has BPD by addressing the underlying needs of that person. Someone with BPD is just like us. They might have feelings of stress and anxiety and perceptions that the person that they're in conflict with doesn't care about them. BPD is the same, but it's a bit more extreme. Someone with BPD has the inability or a difficulty having a nuanced perspective of others, viewing others as either all good or potentially all bad. And because in conflict there's high tension and a lot of room for misunderstanding, it usually gets pushed to that bad side and there's a lot more negative emotion had towards the person that they're having a conflict with. And then of course this can lead to accusations, outbursts, really mean things being said, and a lot of high intense emotions. Therefore, someone with BPD is going to need exceptional levels of support, a little bit more than what you and I would need. It is a personal declaration of our own intent and our own desire to help somebody else. Because it's our own personal declaration of how we feel positively towards somebody else, it should be I focused by using an I statement. Something like, I really care about you, or I want to help you as much as I possibly can. Or maybe it's more emotion based, like I really hate seeing you in so much pain. The reason these supportive statements are so necessary is because it provides a level of safety for the person who has a difficult time feeling safe with people. This then of course leads to a much smoother conversation. But somebody who has BPD might not be externalizing their emotionality, sometimes also internalized as well. And this can look like feelings of shame or shame spiraling. This gets to Dr. Kreisman's second component of the setup framework, which is empathy. Not only does someone with BPD have a difficult time having a nuanced view of others, but they also lack a concrete sense of themselves as well. With this lack of concrete sense of self, someone with BPD might judge themselves based on the people around them. Again, no different than what you would ever do, but again, maybe to a more extreme degree. And then because they feel that they might not be able to do or handle something somebody else might, they might feel bad about feeling bad, which then leads to a shame spiral and then derails conversation in that regard as well. Empathy offers an expression of validation for what it is that person's experiencing. This doesn't mean that you agree or that you condone behaviors or actions the person has done. It just means that you can preserve connection while also showing care and concern for what it is that they're experiencing. Empathy really just creates a space where it says,
hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone.
I want to feel that as well. Something like, that sounds really aggravating or really freaking annoying. Or maybe it's something like, yeah, that sounds like it'd be really lonely and it sounds like you feel really uncared for. By modeling the acceptance of difficult emotions and hard experiences, what we're doing is really building resilience by letting the person with BPD know that life can be hard, but we don't have to be overwhelmed by it and it doesn't have to be crippling. By acknowledging that these emotions are part of the human experience, we can prevent or stop someone with BPD from shame spiraling and help keep them engaged in the conversation that we're hoping to have. It's also really important to note there's a big difference between support and empathy and not to confuse the two. Something like, I feel sorry for you, or I'm talking about my own personal thoughts about you as the object, can have a little bit of an implied power imbalance. And this power imbalance then implies a level of potential condescension or mockery that is really not going to go well. So it's really important to keep those things separate. And then unfortunately, neither support or empathy actually bring the behavior change that we might be looking to address with somebody who has BPD. And this is where Dr. Kreisman brings in what he calls truth statements. Again, someone with BPD is likely going to have big emotions and big perspectives about what's happening in a conflict. Therefore, presenting a true statement or a confrontation can be really scary and is actually the most difficult part of this process, but also the most important. It's really important that true statements are said in a really neutral tone that's not antagonizing and also showcases objective realities of what the behavior was and what the consequences of that behavior are going to be. So whether the objective behavior is, well, this is how you impacted the environment, or maybe it's something a little bit more abstract of, well, this is how you impacted me, or this is how you impacted this person, and these are the consequences that are going to come from that. Again, this is going to be the most difficult part of the framework, so it's really important to be patient and to understand that if things go south and if there is an implosion or an explosion, to go back to the previous 2 steps. What you're really doing with this framework is disarming, fighting for connection, providing a sense of safety while also holding together a sense of accountability to that person's actions and behavior. One time working with a kid in my program, she was displaying potentially physically violent behaviors, and so we had to address that as staff to keep everyone safe. So I approached her. I said, hey, I really want you to have a good time in program while you're here with us. I can see that you're feeling some really challenging emotions. You look fucking pissed and you're so angry, and I really want to help you with that. I personally avoid using the word but, because a but usually sounds like a contradiction, which doesn't really do well to build a sense of teamwork and camaraderie. I spoke to them and I said, at the same time, we have program expectations and we have a way of doing things to make sure that you're safe, staff are safe, and other kids are safe. So we do need to make sure that whatever it is that you're feeling and experiencing, that you don't need to resort to these behaviors again. How can I help you to make sure that those things don't happen?
But in his book, Dr. Kreisman does also talk about another important step that makes a big difference between whether these actions lead to change behavior or not. And these 2 key components are understanding and perseverance. He talks about the reality that we're going to get tired. We're going to have bad days, and not all of the conversations are going to go very well. And on those days, it's really important for you as the person who's looking to support someone with BPD to maintain the standard. With understanding, it looks like doing what you're doing now. Watching videos, reading books. He explains that the more you find out about BPD, the more that you learn about it, the more your compassion and understanding will expand, allowing you to approach the conversation and the situation positively. He also clarifies that one good conversation is not going to be what causes this change behavior. It's going to take multiple conversations and consistency that's done by you, the family member. The modeling of kindness and compassion along with accountability helps reframe and reshape the model of what relationships look like to someone with BPD. And in that reshaping, new mental models are formed that then leads to consistently changed behavior and reduced symptomology over time. If you're finding it challenging to have difficult conversations with family members who might not have BPD, but still don't know how to have them, I definitely suggest you check out this video here.